Welcome back. In this season of love, there are so many ways to express love for other and also for ourselves, but things that we don't think about are love of our history, love of our family, love of our connections from the past. And our next guest has done something incredibly special. Jacqueline Saper was born in Tehran, in Iran, to Iranian and British parents. She was named after Jacqueline Kennedy, and she has been a bridge. Her whole life has been a bridge between the East and the West. And I'm very excited to have her here to share with us her award-winning memoir, From Miniskirt to Hijab, A Girl in Revolutionary Iran. Jacqueline, welcome to Good Day Orange County, and thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Lauren, for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
It really is so interesting. When I learned your story, thought to myself, I wish more people wrote their stories and shared their stories as you have. So take us back a little bit, even, well before the book. We'll talk about the book in a minute, but tell us about your childhood growing up in Iran and with your family.
Well, I grew up in Iran, in Tehran, the capital city, during the 60s and 70s. It was the golden era of the country, extremely westernized, modern, secular, a monarchy. Honestly, my childhood and teen years were no different than American typical teenagers. We went to school parties and I wore miniskirts. And the reason the title of the book is From Miniskirt to Hijab is because I literally wore miniskirts and latest Western fashions. And then I had to dress in hijab for 8 years.
I remember very well the revolution, and we're about the same age, but I remember the Iran under the Shah and how Western and how amazing it was to see the similarities, while the cultures were different, but the similarities drew us so close together. And I remember watching the revolution happen. So how did that come to you? Meaning, where were you and how did it evolve?
I was 17, 18 years old last year of high school, a senior in high school. Honestly, the revolution was so fast and dramatic, and it happened so fast. Suddenly, the whole country went, everything around me changed and went upside down. And all the laws and all the rules that we knew were no longer taken anymore. It happened with some strikes in the summer of 1978. And in a matter of a few months, the country was at a standstill. There were, riots, tanks in the streets, bullets in the streets, shortage of food, water, gas, until eventually in January of 1979, the king of Iran, the monarch, left. And with his departure, 2,500 years of monarchy in the country ended.
Wow. I don't believe many of us can fathom what that means. Iran was such a seat of forward thought and innovation and just really a light, and all of a sudden all of that just shut down. And you were there at the time of the Iran-Iraq War, so
Correct.
you were kind of getting it from both sides.
Many sides. Being a woman, I was getting it. You immediately after the revolution, just being a woman, you were the inferior gender, second-class citizen, and then the war happened. The war was a brutal war that lasted 8 years, and it wasn't only at the war front. There were the enemy jets would come over the cities and bomb the civilians. So it was a very heroic time. And Lauren, honestly, I wrote the book. Let me show you the book. This is the book, From Miniskirt to Hijab. They put the photo of me on the cover. I wrote the book because I belong to a very unique generation that fully experienced monarchy. It was called Imperial Iran, Revolutionary Iran, and the Islamic Republic of Iran, which I lived in for 8 years.
Wow. So what made you write the book? It's got to be a hard story to actually tell.
It was a hard story. It was a lot for me to put it out in words because it brought up a lot of emotions. But I was a witness to a very unique part of history, and it's not only that it happened in the other side of the world. Today, the Middle East, whatever happens there, directly affects us here. We are a smaller world than you think. The events there does affect us, and I was a witness to a transformative event that, and I had to put it down for next generations, for people like you who know it happened, and whatever's happening today, the roots are from that revolution. So it all relates to today's events.
So what is the response you're getting from readers
The
from the book?
response has been immense because I was a first-time author, and I didn't even know the publishing world. And I was very fortunate because I think it was a good book. It's been published by a university press, so it's very credible. It went through 13 reviews, and they hired an Iranian scholar to validate all the dates and events that were correct. It is in all libraries, all university libraries. It's been taught in 3 universities. It's won an award, Chicago Writers Association Book of the Year Award, and it's become a finalist for 3 other awards. So I'm very proud of it.
So they obviously the response is there. Tell me, I'm very interested, how is it being taught? How is your story then being turned into a much larger learning and teaching opportunity?
Well, it's a story of human rights, especially women's rights, because after the revolution, it's beyond our comprehension how the rights that we had before the revolution, and we took for granted things that normal people, average people here don't even think twice about. They were all taken away from us.
Give me an example. Give me an example.
Example, as a woman especially, the way we had to, I or all other women, girls from the age of 6, had to dress, had to act in public. It wasn't just your actions, your mindset had to change. You couldn't I could never dress the way I wanted to. You couldn't show a strand of your hair, or the rights you had in employment. And in Iran, a woman cannot travel outside the country without the written permission of her husband. She can't have a job without her husband's approval. Divorce laws, custody laws, all in favor of men. And it just goes on and on.
So what misconceptions do you hope that your book will dispel? Because there are so many.
Absolutely. Iran is, we hear it as a land of ayatollahs, but it's beyond the politic or strict religious um, form of interpretation that they have in the country. Iran is a beautiful country with a very rich history, and the diverse people and very resilient people who are tried very hard and they yearn for democracy. And it's a contradiction. It's a complex society of an elderly leadership who are autocratic, tyranny, and a young population who are yearning for freedom and democracy.
And do you see a day when that will actually happen?
You can never say never. I know tyrannical regimes don't last forever, and with the changes we have seen in the Middle East, so we never know what can happen.
So we're remaining hopeful. When you came to the United States, you were married, you had 2 small children, you raised
Yes.
your family here. How have you imparted your history to your children? How have they come to
Well,
understand?
one reason I wanted to write the book, because they had no recollection of where they came from. They were 6 and 2 years old when we came to America. And it's a story, my husband was a doctor, my late husband. He was a doctor, and we had a nice house. We had to close the door of the house and leave everything behind. We left with 2 suitcases. That's it. And when we came to the United States, we had to start from zero. And his education was not accepted in America because he was a foreign graduate. He had to take all the exams again, go through. He was a surgeon in Iran. He had to go through the residency all over again. For many reasons that's in the book, I was denied an education in Iran. So I went to school here. Everything is step by step, and perseverance and gratitude for this country that gave us the second chance.
Amazing. Thank you so much for coming to share this with us. Jacqueline, where can we find the book and how can we find more information about you?
Well, my website is my first name, Jacqueline Saper. It's like paper with an S, JacquelineSaper.com. The book is on Amazon, from Miniskirt to Hijab. It's honestly everywhere, Barnes & Noble, bookstores, but Amazon may be the easiest.
We will put all the information up on the screen. So our
Thank you
viewers
very
can
much
find
for
it.
having me.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure. And
Thank you,
we'll be
Laura.
back.